Hi, welcome to Angie B's house. I'm Angie B, and in today's video, I'm going to show you step-by-step instructions on how I wrap a gift. With Christmas coming up in a few months, I figured now would be a good time to release this video, and I hope you enjoy it. So the beginning of this video, I didn't really have it, so here I'm just showing you that it's a pair of pants and how to fold pants. And I try to find a box that's about the same size as the gift that I'm trying to wrap, and I always use the pretty boxes. You can get them at the Dollar Tree for $1.25, and you can get several boxes in different sizes. Now on the inside of the box, I always use the 2 pieces of tissue paper, and I'm showing you both sides so you can see that there's an inside and an outside, or right side, wrong side. And always make sure that I put the wrong side or the non-decorative side on the inside of the box, so that the pretty side is touching the box. And then I always put the one piece of paper in away so that the edge of one paper goes all the way to the corner of the inside of the box. So that they only overlap the width of the bottom of the box. And a lot of times I have to, open or stretch out the box. So then I put in the clothing, and I see how well I did. The box always seems to fold it on itself. So as you can see, I'm working on that. And then, as you can see, I made an ubu. Or a boo-boo. I like it so that the tissue paper is even on both sides, and I'm just showing you here that it's definitely not even. So I just adjust the paper, make sure that it's square inside the box, and I have the same amount of tissue all the way around on each side of the item that I'm wrapping. Okay, so then I fold in the bottom side and the tops, so they kind of fold over, makes it pretty. Then I fold in the one side, tuck in the ends, flip the box around, and do the same on the other side. And just make sure that it's nice and neat. Now, if you want, you can also put a piece of tape in the middle of the tissue paper, but I don't typically do that. Now, another trick that I have in order to make it easier for the lid to go on the bottom of the box is, as you can see, I'm bending the corners out. I fold the ends in and the sides go out, and it kind of creases the corners a little bit. And yeah, I know the box says Scott. Now, one of the tricks that I absolutely recommend and have found to be extremely useful is to use a tape dispenser, because what that allows you to do is hold the tape with one hand and then make it about that long. And you hold the tape with one hand, you're able to manipulate the package with the other hand. And then I tape the box shut so that as you're trying to wrap the gift, the lid does not fall off. And I tape both sides. And I usually tape the long sides. It just makes more sense to me. But you can tape the ends if you want, or the shorter sides if you want. Okay, so now when I'm just showing you right now that, see, it makes the lid secure so that it does not fall off. Okay, so now what I'm doing is, behind me I have a table where I have all of my different types of paper laid out, and I'm just choosing the paper. Of course, I try to make sure that it's age appropriate, as well as gender appropriate as for my grandson, so I decided to choose this paper, which is really pretty, but not too feminine. So then I lay the paper out, and then I put the box on top of it, and I'm just measuring right now to see if the paper is wide enough to fit the box. And I try to position the box in such a way that if there's a design on the box, that it goes the same direction as the paper. So then I zoomed in so that you could see how I measure to make sure that it's going to be wide enough. And I just fold up the side, and as long as the side of the paper goes at least halfway, I go a little bit past halfway actually, then I know that there is plenty of paper, and I make sure that's good on both ends, and in this case it is, so it was perfect. And zoom me back out so I can show you how I measure the length. So to measure the length, then I put the box on end, line it up with the edge of the paper, and then I roll it. So that's side 1, side 2, try not to move the box too much, side 3, and side 4. And then I go a little bit past the box. As you'll see, I'll show you the paper that I use in a minute. You'll see what type of paper it is I use and why I use it. You might be able to see that there's squares on the paper, but can't see for sure. Okay, so excuse me while I fuddle with the paper and the scissors and the positioning so that I can get the right angle to be able to reach the paper to cut it, as well as stay out of your way so you can see what I'm doing. I reposition the paper, reposition the camera a little bit, and hopefully that will work, which I think it does. Yes, that does work. Okay, and now when you have paper, make sure you are using wrapping presents. Make sure you have a good sharp pair of scissors, because what that allows you to do is once you get it started, then you can just slide or glide your scissors. If it does catch, you just have to squeeze the scissors a little bit tighter, and then it will keep going. And what that allows you to do is it gets a lot cleaner edge. And then there I was just showing you that I use the lines paper that have the squares on it, because it just makes it so much easier to cut the paper. Okay, so now I'm positioning the box onto the paper, and I don't know what I was doing there. But just looking at the amount of squares on each end, make sure that the amount of room is going to go ahead and be even. And so I'm just checking to see if that's the case. So now I've turned the box the other direction, and I'm looking to make sure that the box is centered inside of the piece of paper that I have cut. And to do that, I count the number of boxes, and right on, it was perfectly centered. I do see the box was a little crooked, but I straightened it up here as I'm taping it. Now when I tape it in 3 different spots. I always start in the middle first, and then I smooth the paper out and tape that side. I always go to the left, probably because I'm left-handed, I don't know. And then I smooth it out again and tape the right side. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now I tug a little bit on the paper, just a little bit, to make sure that I get a nice tight fit around the box. And then I tape again in 3 spots. Smooth it out. tape in the middle. And see, that's why I use a tape dispenser, because as you can see, I can hold the paper with one hand, rip off the piece of tape with the other hand. Otherwise, if you have like one of those little handheld dispensers, you need two hands to rip the tape off. Okay, so again, 1, 2, 3 pieces of paper, and by not using one big long piece of paper as well, it gives a good, or piece of tape, it gives a good area to be able to fit the hand in and rip the wrap open. And just showing you, that the design is straight on the paper. Design is straight on the box, not crooked. And so I pop in here to where I've moved in, and you can see a little bit closer. I always start with the box upside down, and you can do it one of two ways. You can fold in the sides that way. There, see a little bit better. You can fold it in, fold it that way, and fold it that way. But my preferred method is to do the long sides first. And so, like I said, I always start with the box upside down, and I run my fingers along the edges, and again, about the same size piece of tape. And I did forget to mention I like to use the clear tape because it doesn't show up on the package. Try to usually get the tape a little straighter than that, but it's kind of hard trying to stay out of the way of the camera so you can see. But then I go ahead and fold that down, and then I crease that part of the paper because that helps hold the paper in place. And put the tape there. Make sure the tape is nice and stuck. Oh, see, I messed up on the paint tape. Kind of got a wrinkle in it or a bubble, or didn't go on straight, regardless. And I hate when that happens because usually it messes up the paper, but thankfully it's in a spot that it won't show. Okay, and then again, smooth the fingers down the paper with my fingers, and then make the crease on the side there. And tape that in position. And I messed up the tape again. It's just kind of hard doing it the angle I was so I could stay out of the way. Okay, so now, of the camera that is. And so now I fold that in using my fingers, smoothing the paper. And again, and make sure that the paper goes all the way up against the box, and then I crease it again. And then I use another piece of tape and I tape down that flap. And I know you can't see them, I'll show you in a minute. There you go, see? Tape down that flap there. And I repeat the process on this other side. Fold it in, smooth it. Make sure that I run my thumb along the edge of the box to make sure that the paper is nice and tight up against the box. Hold it with one finger and crease the other side and secure it. Okay, and then I flip the box over, and again, move my fingers, and I crease the paper on the edge of the box. Makes a nice, neat edge. And hold it, and oh, I think I'm about out of tape. And then, just like I do on the back of the box, on the other edges as well, I put 3 pieces of tape. And again, that just gives it makes paper nice and secure, but also leaves enough room so that the gift recipient has enough room to reach their fingers in to pull the paper off. And yep, out of tape. So a little too long, so I just put it back on the tape dispenser and cut off the size that I want. So I turn the box over to the other side, and now use the last little piece of tape left that I had left to crease it, just like I did on the other side. It's a little bit long, but that's okay. I'm gonna make sure that, I didn't forget to mention, when you tape it, you want to make sure that you put the tape in the middle so that you're securing both sides of the wrapper. So I'm showing you that this is how I change the tape. It just comes out of the tape dispenser and has a little center thing. But my gift or money saving tip is that you don't have to buy the tape rolls that are specifically made for the tape dispensers. I just get those because they're always on sale at Christmas time, cheap. And all you have to do is pop out the center, and then I'm just showing you the center. It's popped out, and then you just break off one of those tabs that's on the plastic dispenser. And when that happens, the little tab, see, broke off. The tape roll just comes right off, and then you take the little plastic center, put it back in the middle, and put it back in the dispenser, and voila, your tape dispenser is ready to fill. And like I said, because that size tape are the ones that you can always find everywhere on sale at Christmas time, it saves you money over buying the big rolls of tape that are made for the dispensers. Okay, so now back to the wrapping. I'm on the other side of the box, and I just go through the same process where I smooth paper, tape the edge, and I always secure the one side first before I go to another side. So like I don't tape the left side, fold in the left side, tape the right side, fold in the right side. I always tape the one side first, and then I do the folding. And again, very careful to make sure that I crease that, make sure that the wrap is all the way up against the box as tight as I can so they get a nice tight corner. And in this case, you could do this as well, but as you can see, I flipped it up, so let me get the camera my position. See, so then what you can do also is to make sure your corner is even tighter. You attach to one side, and then you use the other unstuck side piece of tape as a handle to gently tug on the tape. So just another way, and you can do that on the other side. I don't know why I didn't do it, but see, I just tug slightly, and that makes sure that part of the wrapper is nice and snug. Okay, so now we're back down on the table to finish the rest of it. And again, just do the creasing. And I'm probably gonna flip the box over. Yep, flip the box over again. And I do that because that way you can get a nice sharp crease because you're pressing against the table, and it just makes a really nice sharp crease. And again, my 3-piece tape method. And it does seem like I use a lot of tape, and I probably do. I just like to make sure that the wrapping is nice and secure and crisp And if you want to get really fancy, you can use double stick tape and fold the edges in just slightly, and it makes even a prettier edge. Okay, and there you have it, a fully wrapped present. Next on the agenda is decorating the gift. Now, you can use the little sticky bowls, but I like to get fancy. So I use ribbon and make my own bows. And sometimes it can be a little difficult to open. But I decided to choose this one. I always try to choose a ribbon that matches a color on the paper. And this was really pretty ribbon. Really pretty. Okay, and yeah, see there, showing you the little area. Now, I use a glue gun. Tape typically does not work on the ribbon. It just comes right off the ribbon, and you end up fighting it. So I use glue, the glue gun, and it looks like it was a little crooked, so. Well, if it's crooked, yeah, okay, yeah. So if it's crooked, you want to make sure that it's straight. So if it's crooked, make sure it's a straight edge. And helps if I plug the gun in. Make sure you have plenty of glue sticks handy. Of course, once you put the glue stick in, it takes just a few seconds for it to heat up enough to push the other one out. And then I always have a tray on the side to put the gun in so that I don't get glue all over the table, which on this table it's no big deal. Once it dries, it just chips right off. But, kind of a pain, extra step that you have to go through. Okay, so now you gotta be very careful. Glue is very, very hot. You can actually see it steaming. So I just have an old pair of scissors, and I use the scissors to, once I get the ribbon placed the way I want, make sure it's straight on the package. I just use it to dab the glue down, give it time, ribbon down, make sure the glue has a little bit of extra time to cool. Now, I did get smart and I found actual fingertip. And, no big deal on the glue, because it just comes on the scissors, because it just also comes right off. But I did actually find some fingertip protectors that I use now. Now, the one thing I did also mention is that when I'm wrapping the gift, I like to always crisscross it. And I always start with the long way first, or I start with the side that has the edge of the paper, because I kind of use that as my guide on how to get the ribbon straight. And because if it's straight, it goes straight on the package. And the reason I had to lift it up was because I didn't get it straight, and so the ribbon was kind of crooked. Crinkly. And by this point, the glue was cool enough that I was able to touch it without having to worry. And I think I was trying to reposition it some more, but at that point the glue was too hard, so I just went with it. Just rolled with it. And again, the arm. But always overlap the ribbon. And of course, this is on the bottom of the package, so that when it's under the tree, you can't see any of those edges or any of the ends of the ribbon. And more glue. Glue that side down. And to do what I can to try to make it as straight as possible. And dabbing the glue. This is kind of hard to ribbon to work with. And then I go and I do it the other way, and I kind of use the seam that I just made and cover that. And glue is still a little bit warm, so it does help hold it into place a little bit. I think I do add some more glue here though in just a moment. Yep, more glue. Or maybe not. And then I just wrap around the other direction. And yes, this was glittery. And you know what happens when you work with glitter? It gets everywhere. And you'll see, you're gonna laugh by the end. By the time I get this done. At how much glitter there is everywhere. And you know, if you want to make different types of bows, I guess I must have glued that. I just didn't catch that video. But the way I learned how to make bows is I just went to YouTube and watched a bunch of videos on how to make bows. I'm not great at it. I get it done though. And so this is just me trying to figure out the loops. The roll that I have, or the roll that I'm using, I got that at Dollar Tree. It's 9 feet long, and so by the time I got done wrapping the present, there was just enough to make, barely just enough to make the bow. So what you do is you make your loops. You want to make sure that your loops are all even. And then so that the outside of the ribbon is always showing. Once you put it under your hand, you have to twist it. And then you hold it with the other hand. And then you count your loops. You want an even number of loops. I have 5. Not even. So I have to start over. And let's start over. So this time I'm going to try to make my loops a little bit smaller. So I gather that end, hold it in my between my thumb and my pointer finger, and I make my loop. It's kind of hard to keep it in camera. And I make the second loop. Measure the loops to make sure they're the same length. Gather it together and then twist. Really need to get a bodabra. A bodabra would be so much easier. Maybe it's called a bodabra. I don't know. You know, abracadabra, it's a bow. And measuring the loop. Make sure that it's straight. And gathering it in my fingers. And twist. Another one. So now I have an even, but as you can see, I still got a number of bows, but I still got quite a bit of ribbon left. And I think I have to start over here again, and the glitter starts to add up. And I must have lost my grip or something, or it wasn't going to even out right as far as the number of loops. And I just get really frustrated. As you can see, like way off in the distance, there's a little bitty present. I'll explain that in just a moment. Okay, so another attempt. And sometimes you just have to keep going until you get it. And as you can see, this is quite a bit smaller loop. And again, you twist, measure, crimp, grasp, twist, loop, oh, twist, still twisting, loop, gather, and I'm counting the loops again to make sure I have an even number. I think I'm going for 8. Yes, I'm going to go for 8. And then I think I had 4 on one side and 3 on the other, so I just readjusted, or 2 on the other, so I just readjusted so that I had the same even number of loops on each side of my hand. And I know it doesn't look like much now, but just wait. Okay, so there you have it. So now you can either use a pipe cleaner, or in this case I'm using floral wire. And kind of hard to do one-handed. I should have. Ideally, you want to cut the wire before you make the loop, but of course, I didn't have the foresight to do that. And I actually cut the first one a little too short. And you'll see here in a minute. Because when you turn it over like that, you need to have enough to be able to twist it. Well, I didn't get there. So again, I have to struggle with the wire to recut it one-handed, this time a little bit longer. And all this while, the glitter piles up. See, the glitter pile's bigger. And you wrap it around and then you twist it. And you'll see here in a minute I make another mistake. And I'll show you how I correct that. Because I was not about to re-loop them again. At this point my fingers were kind of sore. This is before I had carpal tunnel surgery on my left hand, so I was really struggling. I had that surgery this summer, and this was last Christmas. Okay, so then you want to spread out your bows, or your loops, so that it's nice and even and round. And here is where I discover the mistake I made trying to straighten them all out. I'm like, oh. See if it shows up. It's like something's just not right. I knew something wasn't working right. Like, what's going on? And what ended up happening, I think I show it here in a minute. So I'm like just trying to straighten them. It's just not working and I can't figure out why. And then I discovered that one of the loops, see, it didn't get twisted in. And so all I did was push it back down, and I had enough extra wire on the end of it that I was able to just twist it again. But in the process, again, the pile of glitter gets larger. Okay, there. Now that all the loops are secure, they're all the same size, there's an even number on each side of the wire. I can glue it to the package. Glitter, glitter everywhere. Just showing you how much glitter there is. I kind of got a kick out of it. Okay, so the more glue. And I glue it to the package. Right in the center of where the two ribbons crisscross. Hold it there for just a moment while the glue sets. And then I was going to use this little package, but it was red and gold. And there's no gold on the paper, so I changed my mind because I realized that I had something else that I thought was a little bit better. Match the paper a little bit, and that's what I'm doing now, is I'm getting that other item. Sometimes I just put a loop in the middle. But you can get these little miniature ornaments at the dollar store, at the Dollar Tree. There was, I believe, 6 in the package. There's a little drum. And I felt that the silver drum worked just a little bit better. I would have used the red drum, but again, it had gold string on it. And since there's no gold on the package, I just didn't want to use it. But, alright, now I'm just cutting off the little, because I glue it, there's really no way to save it for the gift recipient to take it home and use it on their tree. Besides, you know, they really like them that much they can look at their own. I just use this as a decoration. So, more glue. And I just stick that in the middle. And always have to wait for the glue to cool so that it sticks. But you'll see here in a minute, it didn't quite do enough. But now that you've got to that point, then I repositioned you so you can see what I'm doing. But at that point, you just start fluffing your loops to make sure that they are nice and even across the package, that they're round instead of flat. You spread them out. Yeah, see, not enough glue. So, more glue. And it can sometimes be, you know, surprising how much glue it really takes. You can use just a little glove, there's just not quite enough. And you have to end up adding more. Okay, I think I got it this time. And there you have it, the finished package. And I always get so many compliments every year. I can't believe that I take all that time to personalize the bow. And like I said, if you want a different way to make a bow, just look on YouTube. And the final shot is just showing you how much glitter there really was. It got everywhere, all over the floor. As a matter of fact, it kind of looks like blood stains and blood spots. Okay, but the last thing is, instead of name tags, I purchased stickers. Letter stickers. If you go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's or any of those craft places like that, they have a whole wall full of letter stickers. These I happen to get at the Dollar Tree. They have them once in a while too. Now these silver ones I didn't really care for. You couldn't really see them on the package very well. I don't know if it wasn't really the size either. It was because they were glittery and clear that once you got it on the package you couldn't really see them very well. But This is for my grandson Justin, so I just use the stickers and spell out their name. And it does take just a few minutes to spell out Justin. And on occasion I'll use the name tags as well. Depends on the gift, depends on my mood. But my handwriting is just so terrible. But I like using the letters, the sticky letters. Adds a little bit more decorative touch. And I think I'm looking for the other one because there was no T on that sheet. I'd already used up all the T's. And the packages usually come with 2 sets of letters. And looking back on this, I think I could have done a little bit better fluffing on the bow. But cat usually gets at them anyway and squishes them anyway. Still a really pretty pet package though. Okay, so just showing you the final product. You can see, you can barely see his name. So I didn't really like the stickers, but usually I wish I would have used red ones. If you would have used the red ones that you can see there in the background, it would have looked a lot prettier. But there you have it. There is my finished package. For a gift or present, however you want to name it. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And give me that thumbs up. It really does help the channel. And until next time, I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!